Welcome to my channel as always, everyone. My name is MrCertifiedHigh, and we are back with another speed build. This time we are doing a tiny home, I believe. I believe it goes micro home, tiny home, small home. Anyways, it's the second tiny home tier, or micro home tier, whatever you want to call it. I think it's up there. It says tiny home, I believe. It's a little small on my screen, but hopefully on your screen you can see it. It does say tiny home, and I'm correct. I did get this idea just kind of Googling lofted tiny homes. That was basically the only plan I kind of went in with. I wanted to make a lofted home, and lofted tiny home, I should say, and this kind of popped up. Now, the real build that this is kind of inspired by sits on a trailer, actually, so it's not 100% a replica of it or anything. But because it's 2 stories, like, and since it has to be because of it being lofted, I just think to put it on the trailer that's in the Sims debug menu. 1, it sits way too high, and then 2, the trailer is very specific in its dimensions and like what looks good on top of it, I think. Because if you size it up too big, then it looks too unrealistic. So if you want like a realistic looking trailer from the debug menu, you kind of have to do a very specific build. And this was a little bit bigger than that, and like I said, it sat a little bit higher than what I wanted it to sit to look like on a trailer. Obviously, like in the real life, you could, probably would not have a full story length second floor. But in The Sims, they don't obviously allow things like that. You have to have the full height of each floor. And I think it makes sense and it's fair. I'm definitely not advocating for them to change that or anything. I think that it makes a lot of sense, the reasons for that. But it does limit the abilities to do things like this. But I actually think this house turned out really great. For what I want it to be, which is a tiny home with a loft and great views. This kind of was my thought. I want it to be very open and kind of airy feeling house, but a very small house at the same time. So we put it in Willow Creek on the island on that 20 by 20 lot. But I also think this could be a good vacation home. Now, I know there aren't any in Granite Falls. There aren't any 20 by 20 lots. There's only 30 by 20. But I mean, you could move it and kind of center it a little bit, and I think the home would still sit pretty well on that lot, on one of the 30 by 20 lots in Granite Falls, or you just add a couple trees to where I'm sure where the blank space on the lot's going to be. We do add quite a bit of trees in this. This is a very landscaped house. Not necessarily, I guess, landscaped maybe, but very treed up house. Like I wanted it to feel natural within the island. Although the island in Willow Creek, or it's not Willow Creek, sorry, what is it? I don't remember. But the island, it's the world that came and get together or get out, or not get out, or get to work. I believe it gets together. It's kind of the more, I would say, more European type world. I don't remember which one that is. Windenburg, maybe. It's one of those. I honestly don't know. I don't remember at this point. But yeah, so it's on that island within that world. It sits on that 20 by 20 lot. Now, it's not a starter home, but it is a very cheap home. I think it ends up being like $37,000 total. And then once we put in gotta realize where it sits on the lot. But once we actually put in the big windows on the left side of the build right now, about to be right when you, like if you're facing the front of the house, it's the right, but on the left side of the build right now, I think it really opens up the space. And I mean, it's a really cool building for sure. So what I was kind of going on, I was saying, I think it could fit well in Granite Falls, and then we do use a lot of trees, but the trees in this world, whatever the name of that world may be, the trees do not, one of them, specifically the one that's most used around this island, that I can't find them anywhere. I literally cannot find those trees anywhere within, even in show live edit mode and show hidden objects, all of those. I can't find any of those trees. So we just went with different trees. So the trees on this lot do look a little bit different, a little bit out of place, but for the most part, it still looks very woodsy and foresty, and it makes sense. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. Like, it's not too far off, so I wasn't gonna throw a huge fit about it, but it is a little upsetting that still in the game some trees are not fully accessible, or I'm just an idiot and can't fully access them. It's one or the other, probably the latter, honestly, I'll admit. But so This is always a lofted area, and realistically, all I wanted was a bed and probably a dresser. That was kind of all I wanted in this area. We do try to play around with putting a desk up here. Doesn't quite work. You'll kind of see what we end up doing a little later, but I think just for what it is, with just being a lofted bed area, a dresser and a bed is kind of really all you want and need. I think we also put a lamp up here, but just to make it look a little nicer, and we do add some stuff to it, of course, so we don't just leave it bedded and loft, or just a bed and then just a dresser. I think we do add quite a bit to it to make it look a little more homey. But yeah, I would love to live in this home, honestly. It is so nice, and I really like this hallway, that you come into the kitchen, and then we're actually gonna put a small table on the left side on that wall right next to the stairs. But I love that there's a bathroom. Now there isn't a what do you call it? A sink in the bathroom. I was like blanking on what those are called, but there isn't a sink in the bathroom. But there's literally a sink about 2 feet away if you walk out to the kitchen. So I figured, what? Honestly, is that the biggest deal to not have a sink in the bathroom? I don't think so. Hopefully you guys don't think so either. I think it would have been too weird. I was trying to play around, maybe extending out the bathroom a little bit. I didn't want to extend it outwards, to the outside, so I thought about maybe extending it inwards, where the fridge is a little bit, kind of adding an extra tile length there. It just didn't end up working well when I was trying to play build this. That's what I do with most of my builds. Not most, but a lot of my builds. I do that. I build them before I record it. I basically build a shell of it, and then I build the rest. Then I delete it and restart and go yep, kind of act like it's all new. So that's why a lot of my floor plans, at least of recent, have probably seemed like they have been more precise and more meant to be like that. And that is because they have been. They have been already planned out and thought out on how we build them. I know a lot of people like to see the process of it, but I think just for me, it just made more sense to do this way. And then I hate how the stove, when you put it all the way at the edge like it is right now, you can see it clips in there. Now, all things do that. Counters do it too. You just don't notice as much with counters, which is annoying, because truthfully, I wanted the stove to be at the very end, but I figured I'm not gonna really mess with it too much, so we'll just put the stove in the middle, right in front of the window, and it kind of will allow that to kind of make sense there. But yeah, so really right here, we just kind of pretty much have done the entirety of the house. I think for these tiny builds, the nice thing is they're just super easy. So now we're trying to landscape a little bit. I don't know if we end up using that tree in the end. We might, but I don't remember. Well, we also put some more windows in the bathroom just to make sure it looks good. And yeah, so now we're just kind of doing the landscaping, which did take up most of my time. This is obviously, like I said, me trying to find that tree. You can see it all around, literally just that big tree. It's all around, but it's a very tall tree, and it only has branches at the top, but it's also very thin. So I don't know. Maybe I did miss it. Maybe I completely went by it this entire time. I would love to know if I did. Let me know. I thought it was this one, but that one, look at the coloring, it's very different. So again, I don't know which tree it actually was, but I'm very okay with how what we did use, just because it does make the lot look a little bit different and a little bit more kind of special on the island, I guess. And plus, I think it also translates better. We tried to use two different of trees. You do see some spruce trees around the island, and then you see some of these smaller thin trees that I'm placing right now around the island. So it doesn't look too out of place. And I think that this could also fit into, like I said, a lot of different worlds if you didn't necessarily have this pack or want it in this pack. I'm trying to think of what packs we use the most of. Honestly, I don't quite remember. We kind of went around the whole gambit of packs around this build. So I would say with most of my builds, I would say most of my builds probably, yeah. It is better to have at least a lot of packs. Now, I don't think I build in such a way that if you didn't have one pack, you couldn't easily replace whatever's missing. For example, if you didn't have Jungle Adventure, you could just put the own counter, whatever counters you wanted in the kitchen. And I'm trying to think, really, I guess Eco Lifestyle, because that's the floor and the wood. But again, you could replace that wood with the base game wood that we use on the outside. which I also, oh, actually I think that's jungle adventure wood, or not jungle, outdoor retreat wood we use on the outside. And I actually thought about doing that, putting that wood on the inside of the build, because again, the real life kind of build that we are sort of basing it off of actually did have, like, it was that style. But I decided again going against that. And then so we're just kind of doing, like I said, doing some landscaping. This is the only, like, I would say, it's not the only, I shouldn't say, I was about to say, but I would say it's one of the few. I didn't want, like, normally when I landscape, you know, I put, you know, the little mini fence around it. Like, it's not really a fence, but it's like that little thick line, I would say, that goes on the ground. I put like that around all my landscaping and put a lot of flowers, a lot of different things to make it look more placed and there properly there. I didn't want to do that in this build, so really all the landscaping in this build is supposed to look more natural. So hopefully that makes sense what I'm saying. You know, it's just looking more, obviously that probably wasn't naturally there, but like the general idea of it, I wanted it to look more natural. And then we do size down these bushes, which I think my favorite thing when it comes to landscaping that just makes the most sense are, for some reason, those bushes and how they size down. I think they're one of the better things that size down in The Sims, because they size down similar and they don't go too small. They don't go, I've never sized them up, I guess, but so they might go too big. But for the most part, they don't go too small or anything. And you can keep it relatively, well, you know, normal looking, even if you size them down a couple. I think I went down 2 and it still looked like could be a normal bush there. You know, it didn't go like miniature just to fit into that one spot. And then I wanted to give this kind of back deck, which I guess technically the house kind of sits on its side on this lot. Again, it's 20 by 20, so really it's any lot, and it's on an island, so it's like there's not one orientation of lot that I would say makes sense or is where it's supposed to be. But I wanted that back porch to have like a couple chairs and a grill. I don't know who I figured. A lot of times when I build, I kind of think of the sim I want to live here. In this one, I didn't really think of like gender or anything like personality type. I guess the only personality type I kind of thought of was they're probably environmental, but also like not Port Promise or Evergreen Harbor environmental style, you know? So they want to be more, they're environmental, but they're also like, you know, don't want to be in a city environmental. They want to be outdoors. They want to be amongst and live amongst the outdoor area. I don't know, the woods, I guess. I don't know what to say on that. And then of course you had to have a shade, right? I had to have some sort of shade in this house. It's very windowed. I mean, you're gonna want to be able to cover it up. What we end up doing is actually in the living room area. Now we do play test this. I think we're about to do that right now. We were going to cut through it, I believe, but it should eventually, we do end up play testing it. But as I was saying, those big windows that are kind of in the living room area, what I ended up doing was cutting myself off. I wanted to throw some of those flags up because I thought having a flag or something that hangs below that would be really cool. And I still do, but again, I want it to be more generic. When I was building it, I was like, I wanted it to be more generic and kind of, you know, you could move in whoever you want. So I didn't want to put any orientation flag or any, you know, university flag or anything like that. I would suggest it if you move someone in there. I think it would, and probably in my own save file, will put a flag there. But I think it looks super cool having like some sort of flag kind of hanging low on that area. And I think it'd be something, I don't know if it's necessarily realistic, but I imagine a younger sim living here. And I could see like a young person, you know, doing that, like my age, probably doing that. I don't have any flags up in my apartment right now, but if I went to my old bedroom or like even in college, you know, flags were all around the place. And then, so we do put laundry on the lot just for fun. Oh, that's right. We also put a laundry basket upstairs in the little loft area, but we do put a laundry area or a laundry basket or laundry around the place, but it's not like a washer and dryer. It's just the classic hand wash and then clothesline. I actually turned this lot off the grid and I played with it a little bit just to test it, and it is completely sustainable. So this lot should be self-sufficient. Hopefully, I hope it is. And this is, for the most part, it's pretty much done kind of where we're at. You're going to see in the screenshots, some things are going to be a little different. We're basically right now, we're just going to copy what we did between those two trees in the back. We're going to put it right here on the side. But kind of going back to what I was saying about the windows quickly, in the screenshot, you'll see I actually used the My First Pet Stuff ones. that kind of look more modern and like they come down. In my imagination, I kind of thought that maybe it would be remote, like it would have to probably be remote oriented, or like a switch on the wall or something like that would be what would generate those to come down. So that's kind of where my thought was, but we're about to get in the screenshots here. I think we're just kind of playing around doing some landscaping. Like I said, the screenshots will look a tiny bit different because we actually, I forgot, we don't play test it and then record. We play test it, change some things, and then do the screenshots. We do also move that tree. That's confirmed. I think it looks a little better with a smaller tree. It lets that one landscaped area kind of shine a little bit more, and it really shows more of the house. Although we actually don't end up using that as my thumbnail gallery post. The other side of the house, or the side of the house, is the thumbnail gallery post, but I also think that looks pretty fine too. So that's it for the video, guys. Here's the screenshots. Now enjoy the rest of your day, and as always, fly high today.
Do you miss me at all? Do you think about the things we used to do? No, you couldn't stand tall. So why didn't you call? So many years has gone by, but I think about you all the time. Looks like you're changing and all, but why didn't you call? Something